production brought to you by Yankee Dabbler. For a 7% discount on your purchases, use code BNSF6951. And by Highways and Byways, awesome graphics for your streets and roads on your model layout. Check it out. Hey guys and gals, welcome back to another Vinny Rip Productions video. I am Vinny, your host, also known as BNSF6951. This is a model railroad channel. So if you guys are interested in run-up sessions, scratch builds, live streams, prototypes, and everything related to model railroads, this is the channel for you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down there, hit the bell or something there, and give me those too. Anyhow, with all that being said, let's get on with the video, so come on in. Alright guys, welcome back to Major Changes number 57. We are going to continue on dressing up the area of Wickenburg, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how I painted the turnouts, adding some ground throws and doing some ballast work on at least one track in this video. Anyhow, with all that being said, let's get on with the video. Alright guys and gals, before we can go any further with any scenic stuff or ballasting or anything like that, I have 3 turnouts up there in the Wickenburg area that I need to paint. Due to this showstopper stuff that's been going on, I really don't want to go out. I do have an everything, what I call an everything hobby shop that does carry some paints and stuff like that, but I just don't feel like going out to the store and expose myself. Anyhow, so what I decided to do is I am going to mix my own colors for my turnouts that I'm going to be doing. So what I'm using is this nutmeg brown, and these are Walmart products, and this is brown oxide, and I'm also going to use a little bit of black. Now I am not in the habit of measuring stuff, so I'm just going to put it in this little jar. I already did some here, and I can show you. This is the color I came up with. I don't know if you guys can really see that color. It looks like you can. But anyhow, it looks like a real good tie, a railroad tie color. And these are, I don't know if you're going to see these, but these are the 2 colors before I mixed them. There's one on this side and one on this side. And I know you can't see that because it's kind of brush stroked on there. But anyhow, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take some of this nutmeg, shake it up a little bit. Now I'm going to mix this up right now for me to brush paint these, but if I want to airbrush it, which I'm thinking about doing, it's just adding a little bit more of the thinner. So let's see now. Oops. Uh-oh. And that wasn't supposed to come out so quick. And I'm, like I said, I'm not measuring. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10 drops. Just to say I did measure. And we're going to put the same amount of that with this oxide brown. And this one really needs a good shaking. And let's see if we can get it to come out in drops. I had it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright, so that worked out okay. And now we're just going to take 1, now maybe 2 drops of the black because I'm doing double what I did earlier. So I'm going to go 1, and 2. Alright, and just a little bit of thinner for now. And like I said, if I want to use the airbrush, I'll just add more thinner to it. I'm adding about half of this pipette. Alright, so now basically all you gotta do is stir that up, and in this area, like I said, I have 3 turnouts, but then when I start on the next update, major changes, I'm going to have about 3 or 4 more of these turnouts to paint, so I'm making enough to do all of them so they'll all be basically the same color. And actually, this one came out even better. Kind of making this drip off of here so I can show you guys the color that it came out as. Alright. Anyhow, that's the color that it came out compared to what I did earlier on this end. Let's see if you can see that. Anyhow, I think this is going to be a good color. So let's try it out on a turnout. I have a turnout that will eventually go on the layout. But what we'll do is we'll just actually brush some of this on this turnout. And as you can see, I already did the one side with the first batch that I mixed up. Now we'll do this side, and then we'll be able to compare the both. And on the PC boards, I'm going to have to figure out how to paint over those because you can see that shines through. And also at the same time, I'll be doing the sides of the rail so it kind of blends in. I don't need to do the rest of my track because microengineering comes out with weathered track, code 55 weathered track. So that's what basically I had 99% on my layout. So anyhow, let's go ahead and do this and see what it looks like. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to brush this on or if I am going to airbrush it on. But I think that this color is actually a little bit better. And like I said, I'll do the insides of the rails and the outsides of the rails and then just clean off the top. Basically I would do that with a rag, but since I'm just doing this as a demo, I will use my fingers. Alright, so the one I just mixed up is a little bit darker and I think it looks a little bit better. So let's see. And this will be a tedious thing to do, guys, don't get me wrong, but it's better than leaving them in the raw color that they are. And then when I put ballast on there, it'll look really good. Now I intend to paint this all the way up to as far as I can go before the points make contact with the stock rails on the layout. This here is just going to be a practice thing. I just want to see how the color looks. I'll go ahead and paint all of this off camera and I'll show you the result of that. Be back in a few. So alright guys, I showed you that I mixed these three colors together and a little bit of thinner in there. And I want to show you the result. Now remember, I just painted this by brush and I will be doing airbrush on my layout. As soon as I get done showing you the difference, I will get everything out into the other room and we will begin to do the 4 turnouts that I have up in the Wickenburg area. Anyhow, this is what the difference is. This is the natural color that it came in, and this one here is the color that I painted on there, and I believe that that's a pretty acceptable color for the ties. Do that by itself. Like I said, this is only one coat and I am going to be airbrushing it on the layout. So with all that being said, give me a few minutes to get the equipment out to the other room. I'm talking about my camera, my airbrush and compressor and all that stuff, and we will continue on with this video. So stay tuned and we will be back shortly. Alright guys, I'm ready to rock and roll with my airbrush. I got my points taped off on these three on this end. I still got to do the other end, but meanwhile we'll just go ahead and I did a practice with the airbrush, and I know it doesn't look 100% yet, but I'm working on it. So with all that being said, let's get going with this and see how it looks. And I will blend it a little bit into the adjoining tracks. You never believe that I just cleaned this airbrush. Alright, I'm going to have to redo the scenery over here a little bit, but that's okay. I think those look pretty good right now. See if I can get on the back side. Alright, let's do this last one here that you guys can't see. Well, maybe if I do that, you can see it. right. Alright guys, well, I guess we'll wait for those to dry and then we'll start hooking up some of the ground throws. Anyhow, we'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, the next thing we're going to do on here is to install the ground throws for the 4 turnouts that are up here. As you can see, the color looks pretty good. It kind of blends in pretty good with the rest of the track work. I did give it its first cleaning. Of course, it's going to need a second cleaning afterwards because I can still feel some roughness on there. But anyhow, I'm using these number 206 S by Caboose Industries. There's also another number that I use, and I don't remember. I think it's 212. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember. But anyhow, the difference between the two is these ones have these little guys on there, and what I do is I just cut this off right about here, and we're good to go. Also, I had to do another modification to these because of the piano wire that I'm using. The hole for the piano wire to go through, which is right here, is too small for this piano wire, so I actually had to drill those out, and same thing on the turnout. Sorry, I'm getting a little frog in my throat here. See if I can hold that. But anyhow, as you can see right now, is that this will go through, and same thing on the turnout. Now, this is the tricky part this is the way I do it, and this actually should have been installed before I actually glued the track down, but this is the way I do it, and like I say, you guys don't have to do what I do. It's just the way I do it, you know. And so, I mean, if you want to copy it, it's fine, but all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and slice this guy off, just like that. And now it'll work just as good. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and drill this one out. I already drilled the turnout. I'm going to go ahead and drill this guy out. I'm just using my pin vise. The other ground throw is already drilled out. And then I need to get a couple pieces of plastic, and I'll show you what I'm going to use the plastic for here in a few minutes. So let me get this drilled out, and there you go, it's through. There you go, very good, very good. Alright, so anyhow, let me pause the camera here, and let me go get a couple small pieces of plastic, and I'll show you what the plastic's all about, and we'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, before we go any further, I want to rectify a mistake I made earlier. I told you that the other one that I used was a 212, but it's actually a 222S. S stands for sprung, and I knew it was at least 2 2s in there, so oh well. I made a mistake and I rectified it. So anyhow, now I was using, or trying to use, a piece of plastic. The trick to setting up these ground throws is to make sure everything is as centered as possible. So when you install it, you're installing the ground throw with the arm straight up, which would be, I would call, the neutral. So in order to get the turnout into neutral, you need to put a piece of plastic on each side of the points. The plastic I was using was a 1/2 millimeter, and it's too thick. So what I did was I just took a piece of one of the packaging I had, and I just cut it off. It's just cardboard is all it is. And that'll just hold the points perfectly in the center. Now, this is the biggest trick. This is the piano wire I'm using. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, there you go. I don't remember what size it is, but what we're going to do, and one word of advice, do not use your Zorons to cut this piano wire. This is hardened steel, and it will ruin your Zoron. Take it from me. I already been there and done that. Anyhow, what we're going to do is I'm going to take this on the tip and we're going to give it a 90-degree bend. A very small 90-degree bend. So let's see, where am I? Maybe let me back the camera out a bit. There you go. So I got these little needle nose pliers and we're just going to take it and we're just going to give it a tweak. Just like that. You guys can see that. Now, I'm going to cut this to a length at my discretion what I want it to be, and then the hard part is to get this into the throw arm. So, with that being said, I can't find my regular side cutters, but these work okay. These are a Mac tool, and I was working in the industry. This was part of my tools that I had. So, we're going to take this and we're just going to snip off about that much right there. Now, problem with this installation is going to be is I do not have my hobby hammer, and I did order one, but it won't be here till next week. So I'll just show you guys how I do this up to this point, and we'll leave it go at that, and we'll do some other project on this section of the layout. Anyhow, the trick now is to try and sneak this in the hole and then get it up like that. And all you want is just enough here on the 90 degree, is just so you can't pull it out after it's installed. So with that being said, as you can see, I have my two pieces of cardboard here holding the points straight out. And let's see if we can do this while I'm on camera. I probably won't, but let's see. I'll get in there as close as I can so you can see what I'm doing. Actually, get that guy out of the way, and let's see. Alright, I think that's going to be good there. Now, I really should have my my spectacles on. So anyhow, you know what? Let me go get them so at least I can see the hole. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. Alright, the blind man got his magnifiers on, so let's see now if we can find the hole and get this rod through there. And then once we get in there, we'll trim it down to size. The reason why I left it as long as it is right there is so I have some maneuverability with my fingers. I may have to lift this up just a little bit. I don't know. Come on. There you go. Just like that. Now again, before I put the ground throw on there, I will keep those in there until the ground throw is installed. So now, we're just going to go ahead and see how much of this we need to cut off. And we will go ahead and cut it. And I got to be careful with this. And nothing like getting stabbed in the finger with a piece of piano wire. Anyhow, once that's cut down like that, we can take out the ground throw and slip it right over that. And theoretically, I'm ready to drill the holes and put the nails in, but I don't have a hammer to hammer the nails down. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do the other three off camera, and then we'll come back and see what else we can do in the meanwhile. So, with that being said, we'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, we're going to start doing some ballasting, and we're going to start with this track right in here, and possibly even the little spur track for the maintenance away. And what I'm going to be using is this Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast, and the color is buff. And so we're going to start with this, and I don't do anything special. Basically I just have the ballast in this little squirt thingy here. I seen some guy use it, and it looks like a pretty easy way to do this. So I guess we'll start on the spur track for the maintenance away, and all I'm going to do is just kind of pour it out here like that, and then I'm just going to take my finger and just kind of push it in there. Ballasting is not really everybody's favorite job to do. It's not really mine, but it does get a little relaxing when you think about it. Just kind of making everything look nice and pretty. And of course, this is a spur track, so it really shouldn't be as nice as the rest of it's going to be. But I'm going to go ahead and do it the way I feel is necessary. I had done a ballast how-to probably about 2 or 3 years ago when I was working on my Helix, and at that time I was just using the coarser stuff from the dirt that I sifted, and that looked pretty good. But I think this this buff ballast is going to look a lot better against the brown ties. Yeah, this is this is like watching paint dry. But yeah, so basically I'm just going to continue this down to the end, and then I'll do the outsides, and we'll work from there. So anyhow, stay tuned, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Alright guys, now that I have pretty much the center of the track done, and it is a bit tedious the way I do it, and there's lots of other methods of how to put ballast in. I watched one video a while back. In fact, I even gave the guy a shout out for doing it the way he did it. But I can't, for some reason, I can't do it the way he did, and I think it's because he was using code 180. I'm sorry, code 80, and I'm using code 55. So his ties are a little bit thicker and a little bit further apart, spaced. So that's probably why it worked for him. Anyhow, for this next part, to do the outside of the ties, I'm going to do my old spoon trick, and I feel I have more control over that, and I would just be taking the ballast straight out of the container, and we'll see how this works. I just feel that I have a lot more control doing it this way, and basically all we're going to do is move stuff out of the way and just go ahead and sprinkle her in. And then of course we'll do the same thing with the fingers. We'll run it over to get it between the ties. But as you can see, I have a lot more control of how wide I want to make this. I got a little rambunctious with the static grass. I should have waited till after all of this was done before doing the static grass. But I was just having a little bit of fun. And like I mentioned in my previous video, that doing scenery is the fun part for me. Alright, so now that we got that done, we'll just take our finger, put half of it on the rail, and just slightly tilt it over, and just rub back and forth until you see the outside of the ties. And by doing this, it's also going to spread it out along the outside here and give you kind of like a little bit neater appearance. Now of course I'm going to have to do a little bit more filling in here because I can see I didn't do enough. And you're always giving your work an eyeball to make sure that you got all of the tie covered. When I was doing the center, you know, I just looked down and I could see where the ties are not covered, and I'll just go ahead and cover those. Alright, so I got a little bit more to do down here at the end. Let me move this guy out of the way. And we'll do this. Now don't forget, this is a spur track for maintenance away, so it really doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm not going to make it look as old as it should. then you could always kind of scoop it back to knead it up a bit. Sorry about that. Also, at this time, you should get as much of the ballast that's on the inside of the rail. Try and get it off now, because it's a lot easier to get it off now before we actually stick some glue in there. And that'll be coming up next as soon as we get this other outside portion done. And this little bumper, he'll get glued in at the same time that we do the regular glue. Alright, so we have one side done, and I can just keep on messing with it to get it where I want it to be. And so, with that being said, I will go ahead and do the rest of the side off the camera, and then I'll show you how I glue it. So stay tuned and we'll be back shortly. Alright guys, as you can see, I've got 3 of the track here with ballast on it, both inside, outside, and along the outside of the ties. I'm not doing the turnouts at this time because they're not, the ground throws are not permanent yet. I explained to you earlier in the video that I did not have I lost my hobby hammer. And I have one on order. It won't be here till next week. So anyhow, we're going to continue on what we have here. This is just soap, water, and alcohol, and we're going to use a pipette. We're going to start wetting this down as a first step. I know you guys can't see what's going on, but it's definitely soaking in there. Don't be afraid to wet it. The wetter it gets, the easier the glue will flow. And we'll just do them all the same. If this capillary action works, then the outside of the rail should get wet at the same time, and that's a good thing. So and the glue should flow the same way. It should flow from the center on out. And after you do this, you're going to see some places that you're going to have to clean up. And I see a few places that I have to clean up already, but we'll try and get that before we add the glue. I may have to hit these after the glue is on here and then dried, because right now all I'm doing is pulling it up. Anyhow, let's go ahead and continue wetting this. We'll do some on the outside as well, even though I know we don't really need to, but we're going to do it anyhow. And this is kind of boring for you guys, huh? Sorry. But if you want to see how I do it, you got to deal with it. And like I said, the wetter you get it, the easier the glue will flow. Alright, we're getting there. Almost, guys. Almost getting ready to put the glue in and glue this all down. Alright, almost there. Almost there. Just this little bit of squirt right here. And we should be good. Anyhow, let me prepare the glue and we'll continue on with this. So stay tuned and we'll be back shortly. Alright guys, this is a little bit more than 50-50 glue. I think it's like 60-40. And it works for me, but your mixtures are totally up to you guys. But anyhow, we're just going to go ahead and start laying some glue on there, and you can see how it's soaking into the ballast. And I won't show you guys the whole thing. I just want to show you how it does work. And I'm using the same pipette, and I don't know why I'm doing that. I got like 300 of these stupid things. Didn't realize how many 300 actually was. Alright, anyhow, go ahead and do the next track. Like I said, once this all dries up, I will go ahead and clean up the top of the ties. And I'm supposed to get that hobby hammer this week, but unfortunately I'm not going to wait to post this video. This video will get posted on my Saturday premiere, just like always. And I won't show you the entire completion of the ballasting because I will have my new structures for Wickenburg this next week coming up. I already got a couple of them, and we made a mistake on one, so John is redoing it for me. It was my mistake for giving him the wrong sizes, duh. And I will stick you back in there, and I'm going to load him up with a lot of glue too. This way he's permanent. I'm just going to go ahead and just hit him up just like that. Glue him in place. Alright guys, I think that for now, oops, I think that's going to be all for this video for right now. Like I said, next video I will show you all the buildings that John Tanzillo has done for me with his 3D printer. And I will show you the rest of the ballast that will be done at that time, and we'll carry on from there. This Wickenburg area is getting pretty close to being finished. I will be doing on my live stream the locomotive that's going to be sitting here on display. I will be doing his display stand, if you want to call it that, and we'll see how that's going to turn out. Anyhow, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed this video, and as always, your questions, comments, input, subs, shares, and likes are always welcome. For now, that's all folks. BNSF 6951 and the Cuz out for now.